Radio Changela, restoring everything in Christ with love and truth. Good afternoon. With the main news, I'm Justina Matandiko Mukuka. Kindly be informed that we are also live on the Radio Changelo Facebook page. The headlines: Consider the vulnerable and edged in the fight against coronavirus. Development education programs to be revived in Dola Diocese, and power dynamos bubbling with confidence. And now the main news in detail. As the country continues to fight the coronavirus pandemic, there is a call for appropriate response and inclusion of the vulnerable and aged in the community. This came to light during the launch of the COVID-19 Awareness and Prevention Project for Kitwe held at the Eye Hospital today. The project is being sponsored by Christian Blind Mission, CBM, a non-governmental organization. CBM Country Director Joseph Munsanje emphasized the need to prioritize the targeted people who are the visually impaired, vulnerable, and the aged.
Case of Manasa is the issue of comprehensiveness in terms of comprehensive health services. That means we must see health promotion, prevention, diagnosis, treatment and management, and rehabilitation. Whilst our health services easily deliver on prevention, promotion messages, and treatment, I'd like to emphasize linkages to rehabilitation services. These include linkages to education for the services that we offer in our health, e.g. for low vision children who may need to be rehabilitated following their sight issues.
Meanwhile, Kitwe Teaching Hospital Senior Medical Superintendent, Eye Hospital, Dr. Chileshe Mboni, highlighted on some of the activities involved in the project.
Asked by CBM of our long-time partner in Eye Health to come up with a proposal. This proposal was supposed to be towards prevention of COVID-19 in the COVID-19 pandemic in some selected vulnerable district communities of Kitwe. The people who are going to benefit from this project will include people living with visual impairment, then old people, and then we have widows and other vulnerable persons in 10 compounds of Kitwe district.
And Copperbelt Permanent Secretary Bright Nundwe, who graced the occasion, thanked CBM for the gesture and urged the hospital management to be accountable and professional during the 3-month project.
Absolute accountability with the monies that we've received. For us to regain the boldness by such an NGO to come on board again to give us such finances. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this progress is very critical for the entire country. From the olden days up to this single minute, Copperbelt is always the biggest contributor to the GDP of this country. And therefore, we cannot take Copperbelt lightly. We want to appreciate you, Mr. Msanje, with your team and CBM, of course, that please, we work closely with you. We really appreciate the gesture that you've given to us. This is how it should be.
Continued intimidation of the media houses by some political cadres has worried Mufulira-based human rights activist Zebez Mumba. Commenting on the fracas which happened in Mufulira between suspected PF and UPND cadres following the hosting of UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema on Mafkin radio station last Friday, Minister Mumba charged that freedom of the media should be respected in a democratic nation like Zambia. Mr. Mumba told Radio Chengele News in Mufulira today that political leaders should take a leading role in promoting media freedom in the country.
On the freedom of the operations of the same radio stations that have been licensed, we appreciate the fact that I think the presidents of various political parties, including the ruling party, have got to take this space very, very seriously and call for patriotism from their parties, the cadres, so that we can see this getting away from us.
Plans are underway to revive the inactive development education programs, DEP, in the Catholic Diocese of Ndola. Development education programs, which bordered on agriculture, skills training, and provision of accommodation for the less privileged, were popular during the time of the late Bishop Dennis de Jong in the diocese. Program interim coordinator Eugene Chileshe said his committee wants to make the revived DEP sustainable through local resources. Mr. Chileshe spoke to Radio Ichengelo News in Ndola. Some household goods were burnt to ashes at one of the houses in Kitwezi Puskilo area last weekend. The cause of the inferno has not yet been established. Janet Mlenga, owner of the house, told Radio Ichengelo News that the fire started around 15 hours on Saturday and took about 2 hours to be quenched. She said the furniture in the house was burnt to ashes. And Mr. Kefas Mlenga, who is the husband to Janet, thanked the neighbors for helping in putting out the fire. Caritas Spain has announced that it will donate more than 23,000 euros to Caritas in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, to fight a new outbreak of Ebola in the country. The Catholic Relief and Development Agency in the African nation has activated a response plan to contain the spread of the epidemic and to raise awareness in the local population on how to prevent the infection. According to the Catholic News Agency, the new Ebola epidemic marks the 11th in the country's history since the disease first appeared in 1976. Radio Ichengelo will provide coverage of the installation of Right Reverend Benjamin Piri as Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Ndola, slated for 15th August 2020. During the installation, attendance will be restricted owing to the coronavirus pandemic. Radio Ichengelo Chief Executive Officer Father Benedict Ngandwe said the station plans to cover the installation mass live on both radio and Facebook. Father Ngandwe has told Radio Ichengelo News in Ndola that the installation of the bishop was important. I beg your pardon, was an important event in the church.
Event, the installation of the bishop, and looking forward. Imagine people wanted to say, why should we have not gone just to Mwana as a stadium? But then when we explained that, they said, oh, we understand. So we are going to carry live the mass of installation, so that those who have been praying for the bishop, now the moment of taking up the sea would come. So they would want to be part and parcel, even if they are not going to have the visuals, but at least they would listen. And then we are trying to work with other media organizations so that even on Facebook would be live for young people. And I know that will have an impact, so that even when we say we are together in spirit, but at least the spirit is able to make us respond emotionally when we listen and when we sing.
In sports, as teams intensify preparations ahead of the local league resumption at the weekend, Power Dynamos is aiming for a top 4 finish. Coach Perry Mutapa says the Kitwe outfit will work hard, knowing that games will be played without the 12th player cheering them. More in the following report.
So continue shaping up ahead of the local football league that resumes this weekend. I visited Arthur Davis Stadium in Kitwe to check on Power Dynamos' league preparations. For midfielder Benson Sakola, the resumption of the league is a sigh of relief.
It was very tough actually, because we do football, we play football, whatever we do is football, but being laid off from the game because of the COVID. It wasn't easy. Fans is that they should keep calm as they're going to be watching us from their various homes. We're going to give them something to smile about.
And coach Barry Mutapa says Power Dynamos, the team fondly referred to as Ava Yellow by fans, is targeting to finish in the top 4 and are ready to face any team.
We're going to give it our best shot. We are a few games away from the top. We are trailing by just a margin of 9 points, which is 3 games. We'll try to do our best and see where we can finish, but we have to be ambitious. And our first game will be crucial to us. We want to do well, and top 4 is so inviting.
Mutapa also explains that no player will be given any special treatment as the technical bench plans to use performing players.
Every player, I think, is available. So whoever is going to perform is going to be in the team. Every other player is equally important.
Meanwhile, some Power Dynamos players found the training said they were looking forward to the resumption of the league.
The target is to finish in the top 4. That's to play cup for continental game. But it's a bonus when we go ahead and win the league because it's open. And when we look at this, the way that we are preparing ourselves, I think we can also go ahead and push for the trophy.
They should continue supporting us as they've always been supporting us. I think this time, what they've done.
And Mutapa says the Gateway outfit was aware that playing without the 12th player will not be easy, but urged the fans to continue rallying behind the team.
We really miss the fans, the noise, the support. It's not going to be the same because it's under the new normal. We just have to adhere to the health instructions and hopefully come next season, which I think will start maybe immediately after we finish this league, I think. And when we are playing, we'll always be thinking about the supporters.
Powers faced a game as the league resumes under the new normal will be against Butcon on Sunday in Ndola. From Arthur Davis Stadium in Kitwe, I'm Clara Singer.
Thank you so much, Clara, for that report. This news broadcast comes to you in the community service of Radio Ichengelo with compliments of Moose Milling, Zambia Catholic University, and the Zambia National Building Society. And now the international news as monitored from the BBC. The authorities in Zimbabwe have banned a planned anti-corruption march organized by the main opposition party MDC Alliance. State-owned newspaper The Herald quotes Information Ministry spokesperson Nick Mangwana as saying that the march scheduled for 31st July is a subversion of the constitutional order. President Emerson Mnangagwa last week sacked Health Minister Obadiah Moyo for inappropriate conduct over a $60 million medicine supply scandal. Mr. Moyo was last month arrested on charges of corruption and abuse of office in connection with the coronavirus equipment procurement scandal, but was later released on bail. Ivory Coast Vice President Daniel Kablan-Duncan has resigned. His resignation follows the sudden death of the Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly last week. The Secretary General of the Ivory Coast Presidency, Patrick Archie, said that Kablan-Duncan was leaving for personal reasons. The Vice President had put in his resignation letter to President Alassane Ouattara in February, Mr. Archie noted. And finally, France has approved pay rises worth $9 billion for health workers, with the government hailing their role in the fight against coronavirus. The deal was signed with trade unions on Monday, weeks after negotiations, and will see wages rise by €183 a month on average. Health workers have been praised throughout the pandemic with regular displays of public appreciation, but they wanted more than recognition and have held protests to demand pay rises and better funding for hospitals. More than 200,000 infections and 30,000 deaths have been recorded in France, one of Europe's worst hit countries. And friends, that is where we end our main news. We take a look at the headlines. Consider the vulnerable and edged in the fight against coronavirus. Development education programs to be revived in Dola Diocese. Power Dynamos bubbling with confidence. For these and more stories, you can visit our Facebook page. Log on Facebook and like the Radio Ichengelo page and link to Radio Ichengelo.radio12345.com. You can also listen to Radio Ichengelo on Radio Garden. Remember to play your part in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic by adhering to the safety guidelines as outlined by the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. Wear a mask when in public. Avoid large groups and maintain social distance. Avoid unnecessary movements. Wash your hands frequently for at least 20 seconds. Avoid close contact with people who are sick and cover your cough or sneeze with a flexed elbow, handkerchief, or tissue. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Justina Matendiko Mukuka. Have a wonderful afternoon.